All right, who's gotten a nugget already? If anybody in this room has gotten a nugget that's going to make you money, can I hear you go, nugget? All right, I love that. You know, there's supposed to be a little thing right here. I just forgot to give it to Dave so Dave could put it on the slide, but it's supposed to say Mastery of Upserving 2.0. So I'm excited to deliver this to you because we're going to give you some fresh content, some stuff that you guys haven't heard before. How many of you have actually, just so I know who's in the room, how many of you have actually heard me train on upserving before? Awesome. How many of you have never heard me train on upserving 2.0? All of you. Sweet. I'm excited to be here for you. And I'm not going to waste time like staging or building this thing up, but here's what I will tell you. What I'm going to share with you today is we're going to do a quick review of the 5 rules or the 5 steps to upserving and doing it at a mastery level. And then we're going to dive into 3 extra steps that are going to help you build on top of that. So how many of you are already practicing upserving in your business? If you are, can I hear you go, oh yeah? How many of you have a really cool story just from upserving where you're like, you know, I got the sale, Josh, and then I went into upserving and bam, I got like a way bigger sale. Anybody raise their hands? Cool, so this stuff makes you money, right? Great, well, I'm here to help you make even more money, and I hope that that's what happens for you today, that you get at least a nugget or 2, no matter what level you're at in this business, that will help you take it to the next level, that'll help you make more money, that'll help add money to your bottom line, add money to your bank account, add money to your profits. How many of you would love to live a more profitable life? Anybody? Can I hear you go, money? Money. All right, sweet, me too. I like being profitable in my business. And what I love about upserving is that it doesn't take you really any more time. You're in the booth the same amount of time every day. You can be on the phone for the same amount of time with a customer, right? You can be at an appointment for the exact same amount of time. It's just about what you're talking about, when you're talking about it, and doing it strategically. And when you do it well, it makes you more money in the same amount of time. And that's what I love about the topic of upserving. Now, some of you have never heard me give this message before, so I want to tell you the difference between serving and selling. Because everybody's heard about upselling, right? How many of you have never heard of upselling? All right, so people ask me, why do you say serving, Josh, instead of selling? And it's very simple. Because selling is something that we do to the customer, right? But we're in the business of serving. And serving is something that we do for the customer. So to me, upserving is really just about maximizing the value that a customer gets from every sales experience. And it's our duty to do that. We're the only ones who know how much value there is, and they're the only ones who know how much more money is in the bank account. If you're with me, can I hear you say, I'm with you, Josh? All right, sweet. So let's get rocking and rolling. First thing I want to do is I just want to talk about what it takes to really upserve properly. Really quickly, this is just going to be a brief review for some of you, and for some of you it might be new. So step number 1 is really all about timing. What is timing? Timing is just playing the credit card game. That is it. How quick can we get the credit card in our hands? How quick can we help that customer get to a place where they are confident and comfortable, where they trust us enough that they're willing to make a decision and buy something from us? And for some of you who've been working with past customers for years, it can literally be a matter of seconds. For Curtis JQs, I think it's a matter of microseconds. Like I've literally seen people walk up to the booth handing Curtis a credit card. And I'm like, how the hell did you do that, bro? And he's like, well, you know. So the next customer walks up, I'm like, nothing happens. I don't know. I don't have the magic Curtis has. Step number 2 is tempting. Tempting. Once they give you the credit card, right? Once they give you the credit card, they think they're done. So we have to re-engage them, and we have to, to them, they're like, all right, this sale is over. Here's my credit card. You've done your job as a salesperson. Of course, so we have to re-engage them back into the sales conversation. We do that with interest phrasing, by just making it interesting to them to want to hear more about what we have to show. Step number 3, tailoring. And we tailor through leading questions. So if you want leading questions to work for you, one of the things that you have to have in place is you have to have your package progression worked out. Both for dropping down, where do you start? What's your initial offer with this customer in this situation based on everything you've talked about with them? And then what do you drop down to in the instances where you have to drop down to find the perfect package and the perfect price for them? But then you should also have your package progression on how you're going to serve up worked out as well. So no matter where you start from with the customer, no matter where they say yes, you already know, like, okay, based on what they're telling me, here's where I'm going to go up next. Here's where I'm going to go up next. Here's where I'm going to go up next. And when you have it worked out, where you're like, oh, okay, so based on what they're buying, this is what I'm going to show them next, you show up more as a professional. You position yourself to be more of a consultant with the client and less of a salesperson. Because you're not fumbling around going, blah, blah, blah. You just bought an Ultimate with steak knives, blah, blah, blah. You're paying for it in full, blah, blah, blah. What do I do? What do I do? Where do I go? Where do I go? That was really easy. Like, it only took 5 minutes to get that credit card. I know I should sell more, but I don't know where to start. You don't want to be that guy or gal. Who wants to be that guy or gal? Who's been that guy or gal? I have been a lot, right? I've done it many times. Anybody over here been that guy or gal? If you've been that guy or gal, can I hear you go, you have been that guy or gal? Yeah, exactly, right? So leading questions. Leading questions, when you've got your package progression worked out up and down, leading questions are what give you the opportunity to know what to make an offer on and where to pivot. What to pivot away from and where to go to, when to go to a next offer or a different package or a different program that you're showing. So step number 4, trading. Trading is really closing. So what is trading? Trading is positioning. Positioning is the key here because it creates incentive and it creates motivation for the client to want to buy more, to want to add more on. And it connects to people's logical brain and their emotional brain at the exact same time. And that's where we use certain types of phrasing, like those of you that have heard me, talk to them. What you're saying is it helps, like the way you say it helps them understand why now is better than kicking the can down the road and waiting until later. So you guys know this stuff. JSYK, SYD blank, IYD blank, ICD blank. It's just so you know, since you're doing blank, if you do blank, I can do blank. Hey, you know what? Just so you know, Braden, since you're getting that complete set with the big steak knives, if you want to go ahead and add that on that flatware chest, I can go ahead and throw in 3 of the gadgets for free for you on me. I'll buy them out of my commission. How's that sound? I mean, if you're going to get it eventually anyways, IJMS. What does that mean, everybody? It just makes sense. Exactly, right? So super, super simple. But you've got to have this stuff in place. And then 5th rule, this is the end of our review, is actually about the rules. The rules are very simple. There's only 3 of them. But the rules come down to that horrible, sacrilegious D word. It's the D word that, unfortunately, for those of you who are afraid of the D word, doesn't allow you to make any money because it stands in your way. It's also the work that makes you the most money. Like, I've taken so many customers from $500 for an order to $5,000 for an order, and the next time I saw them, I was like, hey, by the way, I don't know if you remember, but last time you spent over $5,000. Today, you're getting away easy buying that legacy cookware set because it's only $4,000 or whatever that price is. And they're like, really? I spent $5,000 last time? I'm like, I know. You didn't, like, I know. It's crazy, right? So they're like, yeah, you're right. We are getting away easy. We'll take it. But if I'd never actually upserved them on that first order, where was their price conditioning at? It was $500. And if you don't have discipline, you're taking the easy way out. You're leaving so many sales, so much money on the table. And guys, selling Cutco is not about making money, but here's what I'll tell you. Making money is the way you continue to be able to sell Cutco. If you want to do this as a career like Mike talked about, if you want to get great at business gifts and be able to invest in samples for your clients whenever you want, you need cash flow. And as a business owner, if you want to be a smart, intelligent, responsible business owner, if you want to have a team and have to pay payroll every single month, you have to make money. Plain and simple. Like, our biggest expense in our business every month is, at Fast Action, is our payroll expense. And I'm proud of it because it's what helps us create American jobs for American families. It's what helps us help our people send their kids to school, have insurance, travel, take time off, do all those things. But I can't do that if I'm not making as much, if I'm not maximizing every single day that I possibly can and every single order that I possibly could write up, right? And I don't feel bad about it because the whole thing's about serving the client, doing what's best for them. So the 3 rules are really simple. Always offer when someone accepts an offer. Always offer again. And keep offering until they say they're done. That's it. Let the customer tell you when they're done. My favorite part of upserving is actually the high fives, the hugs, and the thank yous that I get time and time again after selling someone 2, 3, 5, sometimes 10 times what they originally committed to when they said yes the first time and handed me that credit card. Right? Imagine that. You go from 500 to 5,000 and you're high-fiving and hugging me. And I'm like, no, thank you. You're awesome. So cool. All right. So here's the deal. That's not what we're here to talk about today. That's why I only took 6 minutes to review that. Honestly, because y'all have said, all right, Josh, we've heard it before. Time to take it to the next level. So you guys ready to go to the next level? Yeah. All right. So here you go. I want to talk about what I've learned about dialing this puppy in. What I'm about to share, I've learned from observing many of you in this room or listening to many of you teach about this stuff. I've also observed it from thousands of my own personal client conversations and from continuing to reflect on this topic and making sure that I'm refining it, making it better and better and better so that I can maximize my own results. So it's what helps me get a $2,000 to $5,000 order more than 50% of the days that I work throughout the year, which some of you have actually seen me write up those orders. These are orders I'm writing up at the booth, on the phone, at service events, on service calls, on demos. I'm selling them to referrals. I'm even selling them to other people's customers because we've got a really amazing ROR program in the TGP division and the Lone Star division where we help each other's customers out. Heck, there's a guy on our team who's at the booth selling right now so that, he's not here today because he's at the booth covering, and I'm looking at our group meeting. Just since we've been here today, he's already written up 3 orders for other reps on our team, plus multiple orders for himself. That's pretty incredible, right? And our team's proud to do that. It's something we're very excited about. So, some of you have seen this happen on cross-training. I think about Stacy Barton, who was just with me. She's the last person that came cross-training with me during the holidays. And she watched me make calls and calls and calls, hours and hours and hours of them. And she's like, I was like, hey, how's it going so far? She's like, I've learned some stuff, Josh, but man, I haven't seen that big order yet. I'm like, don't worry, we got this. And I don't even remember what I sold, but I remember it being a lot. And it was to a referral over the phone I'd never met before. And it was like a 4K order, 5K order, something like that, at my desk. So many times I do that in my pajamas. Don't worry, when you come cross-training, I don't do it in my pajamas. I actually put on regular clothes. So, by the way, if you want to come cross-training, I recommend go talk to Max at the Vast Action booth. I do them all year long. We've got some great cross-training opportunities coming up in the spring, summer, and the fall. If you're a cross-trainer, a national cross-trainer, can you please stand up really quick just so everybody can see who our national cross-trainers in the room are? So go ahead, stand up really quick. These guys take time out of their days. They take time out of their weeks, their months, all year long. Yeah, they're awesome. These guys take time to host people at their events, on their appointments, all year long. They put them up in their homes. I've heard going cross-training with Curtis is an epic experience. He's on my dream list of people to cross-train with because I want to go to the casino and I want to go eat at the restaurants he eats at. I want to see Denver the way that Curtis sees Denver and shows Denver to other people. It's pretty awesome. All right, let's get into this. I'm ready. Are you guys ready? All right, sweet. So Upserving 2.0, it starts with these 5 steps. You have to have these 5 steps in place. If you don't have these 5 steps in place, this stuff's not going to work as well as it could. It can work, but it's not going to work as well as it could. So number 1, pre-framing. Pre-framing is key. I learned this from Kelly Martins. And Kelly was like, hey, listen, guys, we should be framing everything that we say to the customer so that we eliminate objections before they come up, so that the customer understands exactly what we're doing. And I went to a professional sales conference last year where I was a keynote speaker. And one of the guys who sells literally tens of millions of dollars in enterprise sales, he said, hey, listen, one of the things that I do with every customer is I take a moment when we first get into the presentation or when I realize I'm this is a real prospect, they're really interested in what I have to sell, and what I do is I tell them what I'm going to review with them. I walk them through what I'm going to review with them so they understand what's about to happen. And then we go through that process together. And what happens is customers, when they understand you have a process that you're about to follow, it increases confidence, it increases trust, it makes them feel a lot more comfortable, especially when you share with them what the process is, and then you back that process up with actually going through all those steps, showing them, sharing with them what you said you were going to show them, what you said you were going to share with them. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like, great speakers. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll start by telling you what they're going to tell you, and then they'll tell you what they told you, they'll tell you what they're telling you, and then they'll tell you what they told you. Does that make sense? That was a tongue twister, in case you couldn't tell. So, but they'll tell you what you're about to hear, and then they'll teach it to you and share that they just told you, and then they'll go back and review it and tell them that. I love what Brandon Brown said, last year at the NET meeting when he said, hey guys, listen, when you show someone the price, take a step back. Instead of asking for the order right away, take a step back and just review with them what they're getting for that price, so you give them some space and some time to process the money part, right? Thank you, Brandon. That made me tens of thousands of dollars this year, bro. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I do it on every phone call now. I do it everywhere. But that kind of stuff is money. So what do I frame? How many of you have heard the old saying, where focus goes? That's right. Let's all say it together. Where focus goes? Exactly. Where focus goes, energy flows. So you want to pre-frame with customers, because what you do when you pre-frame with customers is you set where you want their focus to go. So then you can flow your energy right into that. So pre-frame the Cutco kitchen. I mean, why not talk about the Cutco kitchen? How many of you want all of your customers to buy a Cutco kitchen every single time? Raise your hand if that's something that you want. If you're not raising your hand, you're not listening. So how many of you want to sell more Cutco kitchens? If you want to sell more Cutco kitchens, can I hear you go, oh yeah! Exactly, right? Why not pre-frame it? So here's what I say. Every conversation, when I get in with the customer, when I realize I've got a prospect in front of me, I go, okay, cool, so here's the deal. What we're going to do is, most of my customers are working on building up what we call the Cutco kitchen. And basically what it is it helps you take the hodgepodge of pots and pans, the mixed match silverware, the drawer full of knives, all the 4 ice cream scoops, 5 can openers, and all those sorts of things. We help you clear that out of your kitchen, so that no matter how many times you remodel your kitchen or how many homes you buy, you'll always be able to take with you the best kitchen stuff ever, because Cutco's the best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a minute to just walk you through the different packages here really quick. Oh, and by the way, and then I do the second thing, which is I pre-frame bundling, right? Frame the advantage of bundles, which thank you, Matt Graves, because when we first started having Matt talk about selling packages, he's the one who was like, hey, I just tell people about the advantages of bundling up front. So that later on, if they're interested in more, they have more money, a lot of times they just ask me, hey, by the way, you mentioned if I bundled stuff, I could get a better deal. What else do you have for me to bundle? I mean, why not pre-frame the advantages of bundle, right? So here's the cool thing, right? Most people like to start with the knives, if you're working with a new customer, or if you're working with a Cutco owner. A lot of times our Cutco owners will start with the upgrade package because your perfect candidate qualifies for that. And then we'll look at some of the other things that we offer too, like cookware, flatware, the accessory packages, and things like that. I mean, it's up to you whether or not you want to buy anything today, Devin. No problem, not high pressure. I'm just here to let you know what your options are. Cool? Great, so let's go ahead and do this. And then you just go right in. So we pre-framed the process they're about to go through, and then what do you think we're going to do? We're going to lead them through that process, making sure they see every package, every client, every time, which we talked about last year. If you want more training on that, go back and watch my message from the NET meeting in 2019. So second thing that we do, seed planting. Seed planting. You guys remember that old saying? This is going to date me because I grew up on this movie watching it with my parents. If you build it, that's right. If you build it, exactly. So I like to think if you plant it and water it, they will come. If you plant the seed and you water that seed throughout your presentation, throughout your interaction with the customer, they will come eventually. They'll get what you want. So thank you, Matt Foss. Where's Matt Foss at? Foss the boss. He's sleeping. Okay, cool. So Matt's taking a break. What I love about this is that I learned from Matt Foss the advantages of, when we're talking about the warranty, when we're talking about made in the USA, making sure that we're not just saying it about the knives, that we're also mentioning the other packages that we have for them to invest in. So it's like when talking about made in the USA, hey, you know what's great? Every knife you see here on the table is made in the United States, as well as our cookware and all of our flatware. Everything that you see here in the cookware, the flatware, and the knives is made in the USA. We're really proud of that because we're keeping American jobs here in the country. Also, when you're talking about the Forever Guarantee, Hey, you know what's really great? If you ever need them sharpened, you ever need them, you ever damage something, wear something out, and you need it replaced, we're going to take advantage or take care of that for you for free. And the great thing is that same guarantee applies to every single product we make, including the cookware, the flatware, all of our gadgets and accessories, everything that we make, hunting knives, pocket knives, fishing knives, everything. I mean, it takes 5 extra seconds to add that in. Why not plant those seeds and water those seeds? So you frame the Cutco kitchen, you frame the advantages of bundling, and then while you're talking about our features and our benefits, you also tie those packages in. You bring them back up because you planted the seeds earlier, and now you're watering those seeds to get people more interested. You guys get this? Is this helping, yes or no? Yeah, okay, cool. That's great. So one of the things I love to do is the bandwagon effect. So you heard me say it when I framed the Cutco kitchen, but I say this all of the time. What most of my customers are doing is blank, or what most of my clients like to do is blank. People don't want to be the first one. People don't want to be the only one. I mean, some people do, but most people want to know what everybody else is doing. Think about it. If everybody else is sharing a post on social media, right? What does everybody do? They share it. If nobody else is sharing a post on social media, do you share it? You do. Cool. You're like one of the few. That's awesome, man. High five. Psh, great. So if everybody else is watching a video on YouTube, what do? We go watch the video, right? Because we want to do what everybody else is doing. So the more you can create that everybody else is doing this, right? Hey, this is the program that all of our clients are talking about right now because when you utilize this program to its fullest, it gets you the maximum discount on it. What program am I about to talk about? The family program, exactly. You guys heard Curtis say it earlier, the bandwagon effect, right? The more you can get people on the bandwagon, the more likely it is it'll be their idea to want to talk more about that. And that's the thing, right? When it's your customer's idea to talk about it, that's when you know you're winning. Because you're framing and planting enough seeds that by the time you get to that package later, they almost bring it up before you, or they walk over to the flatware and grab it. Or they're like eyeballing the cookware like, wow. You're like writing up your order for the homemaker set, and you just see them like dreaming about the cookware. And you're like, hey, have you ever seen Watto's cookware before? And they're like, no. Do you have that hodgepodge of pots and pans in the cupboard like most people? Uh-huh. Should I take a quick minute? You don't have to buy it, but should I take a quick minute just to show it to you so you know what it looks like and what it's all about? Uh-huh. Cool, let's do this, right? So, the bandwagon effect. What most of my clients are doing is blank. And then number 3, power phrases and power pauses. Doesn't that sound cool? It does, right? Look at how many of you are smiling right now. I just used a power phrase and a power pause, and I asked a follow-up question, and y'all are like, uh-huh, yeah, sounds really cool. Great. So there is so much weight in silence. Sometimes as salespeople, we get so excited about talking to the customer about anything and everything that we just like can't stop talking. We just steamroll them like, whoa, let me tell you about everything. Woo! Let's talk about this. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like, have you ever had that customer? It's like, whoa, Charlie, settle down. Right? I've had that. One time I was working with Curtis, and we worked with the same number of hours, and we went out to dinner afterwards. Curtis sold $9,000, I sold $5,000. And this is 8 years ago, Curtis, probably, a long time ago. And he was like, hey, can I share a piece of advice with you? And I was like, of course, please. You just sold twice as much as me. I'd love to learn. And he said, you're doing all the right things. You're saying all the right things. You're just taking way too long to say it. And you don't stop talking. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. So the next morning, I sat and watched him work for the first 30 minutes. I saw him close 4 orders in 30 minutes with the first 4 people he talked to, right? And I was like, oh, I get it now. And I just saw how much more efficient he was with his words and how he was using, power phrases and power pauses to just kind of let what he's saying to the customer settle in, or what he's asking the customer settle in. You know, I love working with Luke Mills because Luke, if you're part of our mentoring group, like Luke and I, we love coaching and mentoring, so we do it together as partners. And one of the things we're consistently talking about all throughout the year with our mentees is the importance of using power pauses. Quality phrasing, quality questions, and power pauses. And pauses are so important because it gives people the space and time to process. Plus, it really adds weight to what you're talking about. So it engages their emotions. So, what do you do to power pause? Well, big thinking. Big thinking. I'm just going to shoot out some lines to you guys here really quick. So when somebody likes to buy something and they say yes, one of my very first and favorite questions to ask them is, cool, how many? How many would you like? And I've had so many customers go, what if we did 4? If you did 4 homemaker sets, here's what it would be. Where would you use them? Who are they for? What are you going to do with them? I just get curious and I explore, right? And then whatever they tell me, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. High five, Alicia. You're going to love doing that. Your kids, they're going to benefit so much from them. Plus, I mean, can you imagine using your Cutco at your house for an entire year, and then you go to the lake house next summer, and you start using your crafting knives there again? Like, how are you going to feel about it? Horrible, right? Yeah, so 4 is a great idea. Let me show you our family program here really quick. This is their idea, right? One time I had a couple go, I said, cool, how many? And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't tell you this yet. Thank you, Jason Jeffrey. I'm so sorry I didn't tell you this yet. We got this really cool program where when you buy multiple sets all at once, you get to maximize your discounts. The whole, I'm so sorry I didn't tell you this yet. I know I didn't tell them that, but I'm apologizing because I want them to be like, no, that's totally cool. Like, you don't have to apologize. I'm like, oh, okay, great. I know, but I'm going to anyways because I want to engage your emotions, right? And I want to make it make sense why I haven't told you about this yet. I just forgot, right? It hasn't come up yet. So how many? Here's another great question I love to ask. Big thinking, right? Allow yourself permission to think bigger than you've ever thought before. When I asked how many to a customer last year on the phone who was buying a Siggy with steak knives for her grandson who was getting married, she said, what do you mean? I explained the family program. She bought 8 signatures with steak knives, and all I gave her was 4 gadgets with each set. She got the package price plus 4 gadgets with every set, and she was originally getting 2 gadgets with that set. Now, I'm not saying that's the deal you have to do. That's the deal she was excited about and she was happy with, so that's the deal I gave her. Sometimes you have to give them more. Sometimes you can give them less. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're taking care of your customers because you're serving them at the highest level. If you follow me, can I hear you say, I follow? All right, perfect. So, also the what's next conversation. Many of you have seen me do this when you come cross-training with me. Ray and Nicole Reed are like my lucky charms. Cross-training, they've come 4 times over the last 5 years, and I'm 4 for 4 on 10K days with those 2 watching me work. I don't know what it is, but I love having them there because something happens, bam, 10K day. And sometimes it happens the very last order of the day. It's crazy. So that said, I love this because I say to customers every time, hey, by the way, next time, let's be sure to talk about blank. Since I'm going to be your Cutco person for the future, I want to make sure you know about all the things that you can get. And here's what usually happens. Like, people take their Cutco home, they fall in love with it, they come back next year and they're like, oh my God, I love it. What else do you have? So I just want you to have an idea of it so you can be thinking about this over the course of the next year. And notice how I'm not putting any pressure on about buying now, but I know that if they're interested in anything, something's going to happen. Charlie's going to ask me a buying question if he's interested, and then boom, that's my job. I'm going to recognize that, get in, zero in, close that deal. If I can. If Charlie's got the money, I'm getting it. So the what's next conversation. I love this too because this is a new thing that Seth and Kelly showed me. The Kinsers are amazing. They sell over $1 million as a couple every year. It's pretty awesome. So this little puppy right here is like an inventory checklist. And so now I'm using this as a tool with every client. Like, hey, really quick, let's go ahead and look at what we should talk about next. So here's what you're getting now, and we're going to check all those boxes, but then here's all the other things that we should talk about in the future to help you set up your Cutco kitchen. right? And this is just a little quad fold I buy from Vast Action. Yes, I buy them too. Brandon has them too. But you can go talk to the Vast Action booth sometime over the next couple of days. But I love it. It's got all my information. It's like my business card, and I just hand it to them. It's their inventory sheet. If they're a really high quality B-back, I capture their information, put them in my CRM, get permission to stay in touch with them, hand them this, and go through and highlight what they're excited about, put it on their wish list, what we talked about, write down the price. There's so many things you can do with this. That said, the what's next conversation sets you up for the future, but it also opens the door so you know when someone's interested in something else right now. Anytime a customer asks you a buying question, well, how much is it? Or like, hey, could I get that like after I'm done paying for this order? Or, hey, I'm just curious, like if I added that on, could I split that out over, do you have payment plans? I love that question. Do you have payment plans? Sometimes that question doesn't come out until we're upserving. And now they're really interested in something, but they're like, man, I'm already spending $1,000 now. I definitely can't spend $3,000 now. Do you have payment plans? Yeah, absolutely. We do. In fact, I can charge you for the set today, bundle in that extra package that you're looking at right now, and then I'll just charge you for that next month. And they're like, you can do that? Like, yeah, but since we're bundling it, I send it all to you all at once. So you get to start using it right away. So we charge you $1,500 now for the set, and then we'll charge you $1,000 next month for the rest of the accessories. And they're like, let's do it, right? It's just a different way of talking about payments in a way that makes sense to them. So the what's next combo. Also, there's the option and the out. The option and the out. And I love this. It's basically customers feel, you can never feel bad talking to customers about more stuff when you're always giving them an out, when you're always giving them permission to say no, when you're always in that place where you're ready to like, okay, cool, here you go. So the option and the out, very simple. Since you're going to get that sometime in the future, I'm sure you'd appreciate at least knowing what it looks like so you can plan for it. Just for fun. Could I take a quick minute just to show you what it would look like if you bundled it together? And don't worry, you don't have to say yes today. You have the option to see more, but you also have an out, right? I love to say, hey, you know what? Like if you don't want to ask permission, you could literally just say, Steven, let me just go ahead and tell you really quick what it would look like if you did those two things together, just so you know what your options are, and you can tell me what's best for you. I'm not trying to sell this to you. I just want you to know your options so you can tell me what works best for you. They love that. Quality phrasing. And then finally, just be curious. Be curious. People come cross-train with me. They say, you say just curious a lot. Hey, I'm just curious. If you were to do blank, if you were to pick something else to go with this, what would you pick? Hey, I'm just curious. If you were to get gifts for your kids, how much would you be, like, what is your budget for that? Hey, I'm just curious. Like, if you did do that upgrade, do you even see yourself using these pieces? Hey, I'm just curious. Guys, I'm just curious. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Who are you mentoring with this year? Hey, I'm just curious. So guys, with my travel this month, I didn't have time to get my handout for this one done in time. So here's the deal. If you want it, pull out your phone, send me an email. I think everybody has it. If you don't have it, I'll get it from Dave Bush and I'll email you because I'll send you a document that has all this stuff written out. So remember the 5 steps, plus start folding in pre-framing, right? The 5 steps, pre-framing, seed planting, and power phrases and power pauses. And see what happens. Thank you so much.